Everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday 1st, and we've already gotten, accidentally, all 3 of the daily quests done. We only needed to do 2, and the same is the case here, although it's slightly different. We also need to do a tavern brawl, and we also need to do an arena run. I can't trade anything else, so paladin or warrior victories are what we're going to be looking for. We've got another couple of card packs, and unlike my America's account, opening these Knights of the First and filling cards at least has a chance of giving us something new. Like this epic, probably new. Even this rare has a decent chance of being new. And it always sucks when I get like an epic or a legendary on my non-main accounts, the European accounts or the Asian account. Because I'll never probably get that card in my main collection. Let's see, so wow, we're a little surprising. I'm a little surprised I have 4,000 gold on my European account. See, only 2 of those were new. Well, duplicates. Which I guess means we very possibly, at this rate, are actually going to buy 50 card packs for, let's see, we were disenchanting goldens in this account to make more commons. Yeah, so if I have 5,000 in the next expansion, and the next expansion is a solo card pack thing. Let's go and make this our new favorite too while we're here. I could open 50 packs on my main account, the US America's account, open 50 packs on the European account, and open 50 packs if I have 5,000 on the other account too. Wow. So by tripling the amount of work I've done, I've tripled the number of card pack openings I can do, which is, I guess, is a thing. People seem to like that. And I already played the arena run on this one. Yep, come to think of it, so there's no reason to buy an arena run. We'll just because European is like a day ahead on everything, and at least for me, so we just need to do a tavern brawl. What was it? Which ones were I trying to win in? Warrior or paladin? So I need to pick a warrior or paladin, and you know, take this and this. Bring it on, game 2. I don't think I'd want to do that, honestly. I'll take it. I'll take this and this and take a weapon, and we'll take that. Take that one. I want to take weapons because this will work. Summon some random things. Since everything in this tavern brawl is just going to turn out to be a 1 mana item, we need things that are crazier. And I have less to pick from, certainly. So we can take that, we can take that, that's very useful. And we'll just work our way. Gain the stats of all of my weapons. That's useful. I have 5 more cards I need to pick. Take that one. Take that one. Let's see, 4. Let's see if we've got any 3s that are worth playing. We'll draw some cards. Charge Divine Shield. Well, that's 30 cards. That's good enough. Let's brawl. I really don't like this brawl. It seems completely designed around the idea of dragging things out. Speaking of dragging things out, if I don't get through this news pretty quickly, this is the 3rd recording today already, and I really don't need to be doing 3 recordings every stream. According to the team at Daybreak Game Company, the PlayStation 3 version of DC Universe Online has 3 more months to live, which, okay, that kind of sucks. Like, I think if I recall correctly, DC Universe Online is being threatened to be shut down many times, and this is just yet another version of it. It's not succeeding in the ways that you would like. They're gonna focus their resources on optimizing the PlayStation 4 version of it, which pretty much, if I was to play DC Universe Online, I would say that probably means in 3 more months they'll shut down the PlayStation 4 version of it too. Let's see, Divine Shield, and then draw some cards. Play. See, on the 5th turn I can play that. And on the 5th turn I'd like to play this too. Owlboy is coming out for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch February 13th, which is interesting because I think I have Owlboy, so I might be able to actually play that and air it in February. I might be able to do that. Like, so I'm gonna... Owlboy is a slightly interesting Metroidvania game that has kind of some high quality graphics that look like they're 8-bit graphics, but they're not. See, after hero attacks, give a random minion in your hand +1/+1. Fair enough. I don't even have a minion in my hand, though. Oops. Super Mighty Power Man is a old school Mega Man throwback game, not made by the actual creator of Mega Man, who made instead Mighty Number 9, which was not very good. Let's see if we can get any more actual elements of information from this game, though. Like when it is released. No trailers or footage yet, just a couple of still images. Well, that is so helpful. Let's just keep attacking.
Job done. Fine, I'll heal.
Yeah, according to this article, there's literally no information about it, so this is one of those not very helpful, not really news articles.
I hope you like my
Just
invention.
like, you've got nothing to tell me here. You've got 3 still images, no date, no consoles, no idea. Let's see.
Behold the might of Stormwind!
Let's see. Do I really want to play this? And
Job done.
like, I would lose almost certainly if I played this card. It would reduce all his cards almost, well, all his minions down to 0. He could fill the board. Atlas has filed various corporate trademarks such as Atlas Game Studio and Atlas Software, Atlas Development Studio, Atlas Entertainment Development, Atlas Game Factory, Atlas Game Studios, Atlas GameWorks, Atlas Interactive, Atlas Software, Atlas Softworks. Half of these are companies that probably already existed, if I'm recalling correctly. Clearly this is an example of them trying to stop copycat companies from making corporations that sound like Atlas. And maybe they'll succeed and maybe they won't. I imagine at least a few of these trademarks are going to fail completely and not be approved. And I think it would be incredibly inaccurate to think that
I cannot do that.
That any of these names mean that they're going to try and create a new corporations or new offices under different names. Atlas also is the people who made Persona and are crazily defending the copyright and misinterpreting fair use to not allow Persona 5 Let's Plays. And I imagine it's just more of that craziness. Moving on. The Next Machina developer House Marque is done with arcade titles. After 20 years carrying the torch for arcade enthusiasts, Next Machina developer House Marque is leaving the genre behind due to lackluster sales. What games did they make? Despite making a name for itself for critically acclaimed arcade titles like Super Stardust HD, Outland, and Resogun, the studio's impressive roster has struggled to rack up meaningful sales. Well, see, it seems like this is a terrible way to announce something like that. Like, I would simply, like, you could phrase this not as an article saying we're done with arcade titles because they're not making any money, because really that makes it seem like, well, my company's about to fail completely and I'm jumping ship. Instead, what you could have been doing is in the secret developing a non-arcade title game and just hinted to people, it's like, we've got a new project in the works and it's going to be really exciting and it's going to be something like you've never seen from us before. Like, they have done no effort to hype a pivot in their company at all in an industry that is completely built around hyping every single action. So I wouldn't really hold my breath that there's going to be too much more from Next Machina developer, well, or House Marque. Man, the way they phrase some of these things. I need a website that has a color coding system. The name of the title is always going to be in blue. The name of the developer is always going to be in pink. That way I know what I'm looking at, regardless of how you phrase these long run-on sentences, so that you actually have something to say. And I just can't play this guy without another minion. Next bit of news. Let's see. There's a bunch of sales for Halloween. Surprise, surprise. Is this something that... It's a rock, paper, shotgun articles. It's something I really want to read. Like, let's just go quickly over the list and see if there's anything that's really surprising. There's some good old game sales. None of them seem really, really cheap. Green Man Gaming sales. Sale at Gamersgate. I'm surprised Gamersgate still uses that name, but whatever. It would have been a little too difficult to lose that title. And I guess if they changed their name, they'd probably change their website and somebody else would buy Gamersgate as a URL. Moving on. Crossing Souls is an adventure game styled after 80s cartoons. It's a Kickstarter. Let's watch this video. Well, I'm looking at an animation that certainly looks like an 80s cartoon, a bad one at that. Well, one daily quest done. Okay, now I'm seeing some different kinds of animation. Here's the thing that's weird about this is that apparently they found somebody that had some kind of device that let them cross over to a different dimension so that they see things that aren't really there, or that honestly this looks more like a point-and-click adventure more than anything else.
You asked for it.
And the actual gameplay is very zoomed out, and it does look like a 8-bit pixel game. And it seems like you're going to be fighting ghosts and talking to ghosts for some of it. And it may be more of an adventure than a point-and-click adventure. This is a weird game, honestly, looking at this trailer. There's a lot of footage here on this Kickstarter. But the animations that they're showing half the time are cutscene animations compared to what it really is going to be about. It'll look like.
Tonight, a tale of glorious redemption. My shield for Arya.
In a weird way, I think they might have a decent game in this, but the animation is making it suffer. And for them to kickstart and push the game based on it being styled after 80s cartoons, which it kinda is in the cutscene, but it really isn't in the actual gameplay. Let's see, it's some RPG. It's a action game with some RPG elements thrown in. It feels like it's trying to play off Stranger Things very heavily. Yeah. It looks kind of interesting, but the animation style and the fact that they're so focused on the animation style makes me feel like it's actually not going to be that good. And in this Tavern Brawl, if you're playing against a mage, their Fire Blast ability immediately defeats anything. This is the worst Tavern Brawl so far, I think. There's a game called the Red Strings Club, which is a cyberpunk tale of life, happiness, and psychological bartending. it too is kind of 8-bit graphics, but it's scaled a lot closer and it looks a lot better because of it. Seems like maybe the bar is a VR bar that people are coming to through virtual reality. Honestly though, even though this looks good and this isn't an RPG Maker game, it looks like one of those games that's gonna play very much like an RPG Maker game. Which is to say, it's gonna be focused very heavily around conversations and talking and making very few decisions. It's a point-and-click adventure, so maybe there's some items you pick up, but everything I just saw on that and it's coming to Steam, but do we have an idea when? It's expected to be out in January. It feels like one of those games that won't get a lot of coverage, but might deserve a little bit more than what it doesn't get. Because whenever these games are starting off with the idea that their graphics are not going to be good looking, just to put it blatantly, when they're not going to be 3D realistic, if they're not going to look like Mario Odyssey, if they're not going to look like The Witcher 3, which are the two options, either you go cartoon good looking or you go realistic good looking. If you're not doing either one of those, then the rest of your focus is really got to be under the gameplay and the story, and this seems like it's going to be more so focused on the story and really have no gameplay, and it's going to be more of an interactive novel than an actual interactive game. It'll do 2 Plus for the Switch is coming out November 14th, so the 2 Plus I guess implies that there's going to be a little bit more to it. Like the original title 2 was for the Xbox One, so what does the Plus get you?
What now?
Or does it get you anything? See, even if I summon a creature that way, he still becomes a 1/1. There's no way to break this 1/1 trick. It's really funny that It'll Do is coming to the Switch, considering It'll Do is basically a ripoff of the Game Boy Legend of Zelda games, which at some point, I think, probably next year would be a good time for Nintendo to say, we're gonna have a Game Boy top-down style Zelda game, but it's gonna be on the Switch because we're not supporting the 3DS anymore. And so it's not gonna be like Breath of the Wild at all. But in the meantime, I definitely want to play It'll Do 2 on PC. If there is something new in the 2 Plus, I'd like that to come to PC too. I'd like to see an It'll Do 3. I'd like to see more companies make Zelda ripoffs, like Zelda, Metroid Prime games. They're always slightly different in different ways, which makes them feel a little bit odd. Like Guacamelee 2, for instance, is coming out, and that is effectively an old school Metroid game, not a Metroid Prime game, and yet it's got its own sentimentality and way of doing things that it just doesn't feel like a complete ripoff. And at a certain point, I kind of do want just a complete ripoff of some of the Nintendo games, since the Nintendo games aren't coming to console computers anytime soon. Human Fall Flat has added an 8-person online multiplayer, which apparently was necessary or requested. Seems a little excessive, but maybe it went from no online multiplayer to a lot of online multiplayer, and that's the part I'm missing. See if this Bring It On card actually works. Apparently there's some new cable modems up there for DOCSIS 3.1 specification full duplex, which allows up to 10 gigabits per second download speed, which is great and all if your provider is capable of providing you that. Like, that's rarely the instance. There have been a lot of instances, certainly, where people have really old cable modems, and that is an issue, but usually it isn't. Wow, I did that Bring It On, and he didn't summon a single character. Does he have nothing but spells? Like, for me, getting a new cable modem probably would not speed anything up at all, and just be a waste of money. And the other point on cable modems to look at is, what do your providers really support? Because if they're not going to put out any settings or firmware for your new cable modem, then it's just not going to work, or it's not going to work well, or it's not going to get updated. And you also want to know how many pipes they can give you, because like on mine, I think I get 16 downstream pipes but only 4 upstream pipes, which means I can really only upload 4 things while downloading 16 in a rough, odd way. Let's see, so he had one of these trick setups here where you can just get infinite fireballs and play them forever. And he's gonna win. And this strategy, you see it several times, but it doesn't seem to actually work in rank play. There's a game called Surviving Mars that wants to inspire the next generation of astronauts. Let's see what that is all about. Like, playing a video game, sadly, is not what you need to be an astronaut. If you want to be an astronaut, you probably need to go in the military and the Air Force. You probably need to get very lucky and be very good at mathematics. And that's not fun. As for what this game is, it seems like it's a colony builder on Mars. So the title is probably not... It's not completely misleading, but it's also a little not focused. Yeah, this is just a colony builder on Mars, which, alright, fair enough. Like, we could do with a better than Kerbal Space Program style game out there, and we could probably do with a better SimCity style game on different planets too. So if they put a lot of effort into it, this could be a good game. Let's see, do we have any real facts of if it's out or when it's out? Or what consoles it's going to be out on? Like, this is actually a rather long article with several videos.
What now?
Let's see.
Tonight, a tale of long lost worlds. You are not welcome here.
I played that wrong completely. Totally screwed that up. Yep, and at the end of this article there's literally no talk Okay, here it says Surviving Mars is set to be released in 2018, but Paradox is taking signups at survivingmars.com. This feels like either like let's not say this is a PC Gamer ad. Let's say instead this was a standard like gentleman's agreement where they were given PC Gamer was given an interview and early access to have some content to put on their site, and therefore because they got that early access they put out a long article talking about a game that doesn't even have a release date yet, compared to the many other instances where I see just less than a paragraph or maybe one small paragraph talking about a game that gets announced. Like, the more words you put in an article, the more effort you put into it, probably means the more hype you're building up. So I talked about the Last of Us 2 trailer. There was also the David Cage Detroit trailer, which was this scenario. All David Cage games recently at least work around this idea of you're given scenarios and you have decisions to make, kind of like a Telltale game, but done slightly different, and perhaps there's slightly more ramifications for your decisions. And so this trailer shows a scenario where this abusive father had a robot, he broke the robot in a fit of rage, and the robot got reset, and so then throughout the scenario you're playing as the robot in her second iteration of her memory, and the robot is finding out that the husband is the father is abusive both to the robot and his daughter, and it's kind of a scenario on why would this pre-programmed robot that is supposed to be docile and submissive, why would it break out of its program and do something different? And what's really funny is that I could easily see in this world he's painting the robot taking the daughter and leaving, and then it being reported on the news that the robot's gone crazy and kidnapped the girl. And like, if the abusive father would easily be able to tell the police that's exactly what happened, and I bet the police would believe it. Now, there is some argument, certainly, that David Cage is not a good enough writer to cover such topics. I'm not sure I particularly buy that argument, though, because I don't know if there's really any room to judgment. Like, there's plenty of movies out there that cover topics in bad ways and different ways, and we never really complain about it. The Transformer movies are, I guess, a good example. The maker of the Transformer movies is probably not skilled and qualified and shouldn't be touching the topics of the Transformer movies, i.e. Transformers, because he doesn't really have the skill or ability to do it justice. And arguably that's the same here. We had what I assume is a coincidence, but may actually not have been a coincidence, of having two trailers, both of which I think were for the PlayStation Paris games reviews being very violent. The response for the other trailer for Last of Us was for the director, I think it was the director, came out and said, well, this is an adult game that will cover adult topics, and in a lot of ways I would say that the Last of Us trailer had much more gratuitous violence than what the David Cage Detroit did, because at least Detroit is trying to cover an actual topic, whereas in all honesty, Last of Us was simply trying to just be violent for violence sake. But I really can't buy into any idea or argument that the creators of their own art shouldn't be allowed to do whatever they want. And if they want to badly handle violent topics, that's fine. We'll see if that increases or decreases sales. Obviously, since they're showing these trailers, they think that is going to put some edge in it and bring up some hype and increase sales. And we may have a backlash at some point. Like, the previous David Cage was a guy chasing a serial killer and a kid being kidnapped, so it's not like this is really far from what the stories he's told before. If you don't like his stories, then of course don't play his games, don't watch his stories. I would argue that Last of Us was more violent in this trailer than it was in the previous game, and it was under focused on the desolation and destroyed world by the fungus that destroyed that world. Like, when I think back of all the images I saw of Last of Us 1, never played it because it was on PlayStation, it seemed like it was a city that was destroyed, covered in plants and fungus and brightly lit. You compare that to the trailer you see, it's completely dark and there's just some humans and you only get the hint of a clicker creature at the very end, and I don't think there was like, yeah, it just didn't really have the same visual feel, I guess is what I could say. But then again, I didn't play The Last of Us, so I don't know. So this one gets spell damage each time, which will be probably useless. World of Final Fantasy is coming to PC via Steam November 21st. Purchases before November 28th get the Day 1 edition, which really needs to be named something different if you can get the Day 1 edition for the first week. Like, I don't know what this is. It seems like it's a Final Fantasy with cute, chibi Final Fantasy characters, and it's a turn-based RPG. Players capture, customize, and grow a variety of Final Fantasy creatures as they join siblings. I'm not gonna try to. Rin and Lan, I guess, an adventure for the land of Grimoire. Oops, forgot to end my turn. Steam version will feature Steam trading cards, Steam achievements, full keyboard and controller support, an extensive list. Let's watch the trailer. Though it's an E10 plus game, so it seems a little kid friendly. Like, maybe this is the better game to give to a kid than have them play, say, what is that? Kingdom Hearts, because Kingdom Hearts is really not that kid-friendly of a kid RPG. Oh yeah, this is the game where your creatures stack on the heads of other creatures. Now I'm looking at some of the stats of this, and it's not that kid-friendly too. I don't know if a 10-year-old would really want to put up with stats that are that big. I think if you're going to have a kid-friendly RPG, you kind of have to have an attack, a defense, and a health, and that's pretty much it. Don't even go into magic points or ability points, because once you start getting that way... And I guess, again, any RPG for kids is compared to Pokemon, and I would say Pokemon is still probably a little less violent and a little kid-friendlier. But this doesn't look too bad. Didn't really show me a lot of gameplay either, but I think it is just going to be wandering around. Fighting people. seriously gonna be able to win here? Like, the only reason I even won the previous Tavern Brawl was because somebody just gave up. Apparently there's a game called Wonder Doctor with a K instead of a C as one word. Wonder, W-N-D-E-R-D-O-K-T-E-R. Seems like you're playing as an old world doctor. It has some weird, like, cardboard cutout grotesque imagery. Let's see, it's on Steam for $10 and PC Gamer gives it a 7.1. It says Wonder Doctor's beautiful handmade world is a delight to travel through, but beneath the charming exterior lies a twitching, unforgiving, and sometimes unrewarding puzzle game. Which is to say, it's probably not worth paying $10 for, and I don't think I'll play it, so forget that one. As far as the emulation scene, I don't cover it that much, but there is this Angry Lion multi-threaded release
I will fight with honor.
for parallel Nintendo 64, which has significantly increased the number of frames you can get playing running an emulator to run Nintendo 64 games, which is notable because Nintendo 64 games in particular are the one game up to the PlayStation 1 that was running poorly. Now, if you're trying to do a RetroPie, I can tell you, you're still probably not going to get this update, and you're still probably not going to get 60 frames per second, or the higher, close to 100 frames per second. Some of these are like 118, 123 frames per second for it. But on the RetroPie, the current setup seems to be, with some tweaking, you can get 30 frames per second, which is what the games originally, I think, ran at anyways. I would be very interesting to see if this came over and got ported to RetroPie, but at the moment, parallel Nintendo 64 or parallel N64 does not work at all on my setup. Like, I've tested it out. And I'm still in the background working on my RetroPie, trying to get it to work. Just trying to finish the whole thing, honestly. Get it set up the way I want it before things change and I have to set it up again. But they are making quite a lot of progress in that stuff. How does everybody have 2 on his side? Man, that sucks. My turn. The 7 Deadly Sins video game that's coming out in Knights of Britannia has some more still shots to show off some of the characters. Frankly, it's showing off. I've seen the first season and I think the second season of 7 Deadly Sins, which was I believe it was a Netflix funded creation. And the first season was alright, but I kind of liked it even, but then the second season kind of was just a recap. This game is coming out early 2018 for PlayStation 4, and they're just showing off a lot of the secondary characters, which might be the focus actually. So you won't even be playing as the characters that were called the 7 Deadly Sins. And that name makes no sense to the series, by the way, at all. It really is just kind of made up. Let's see. Soulpix announces Eden tomorrow for the PlayStation VR. I believe this was a PlayStation Paris announcement that missed me the last time.
Put your faith in the light.
And like, I'm looking at this trailer, and this trailer is literally not showing anything. Like, yeah, because it's flashing. It's just giving you little flashes. So deal 1 damage to everybody, and then do this, and then do this. It's a story-driven sci-fi VR game with understandable yet challenging gameplay in which the player has to prove both skills both in unraveling mysteries and timing. Okay. So it's basically a sci-fi adventure game in VR. And we're to the Humble bundle. There is this Humble Extra Life bundle that gives you games and a lot of Pathfinder books. I'm assuming the Pathfinder books are actually elements that you get in a digital format, not something that you get mailed to you, because half of these Pathfinder books are like available for $1 or more, and $1 or more gets you to online early access. So this really is built around Pathfinder. If you pay more than the average of $603, which is kind of high for as new as this bundle is, you get Guacamelee. And if you pay more than $15 or more, you get Rain World. But that's kind of it as far as actual games. So it's not very much of an actual games bundle. Yep. Can't even attack. Let's see. The Jumbo Bundle tin is here. You could get for $1. Pay what you want even, so less than $1 if you don't want Steam keys. Grey Goo Definitive Edition. Epistory Typing Chronicles and Oddworld New and Tasty, which I already own, so that makes it hard. However, for $5.78 you get Prototype 2, Kingdom New Lands, and How to Survive 2, and some other game that's been unannounced. And if you pay $10 or more, you get Wasteland 2 Director's Cut and subscribe to the monthly bundle service for free. Like, I don't know if you really want to continue down the path of supporting. Let's see. Supporting Humble Bundle now that it's owned by IGN, but at the moment I think I kind of do. Yep, I just lost and I played that wrong too. The Day of the Developers. Let's see. Maybe I should do this one. Tumbleseed and Grim Fandango Remastered and Loot Rascals with the soundtrack. If you pay more than $6.24, you get Abzu and Flint Hook. If you wanted both of those games, $6.24 is a good deal. You also get Day of the Tentacle Remastered, so if you wanted any of those games, that would be a good deal. But if I already have Day of the Tentacle Remastered, and that's. But then I guess on the other way, I could get Full Throttle Remastered for $9 and everything, and a Day of the Developers VIP ticket for $9 or more. So I'm gonna have to give that one some thought. We're getting closer and closer to the Christmas season, and there's just gonna be a lot of shopping. Sadly, for buying video games, I know it's gonna happen. There's 2 more sales already scheduled for already scheduled to be happening for Steam. So here's an article that says Ubisoft says Assassin's Creed Origins high CPU usage is not due to DRM. Sure, it's not. The CIA has revealed that Osama bin Laden had a thing for retro gaming and anime. Interesting. I'll talk about that more next time. In fact, there's really no reason for me to scroll through my news feed and talk about any more news, because we've gone 3 recordings again. I've apparently gotten very lucky on the news, and it's time to like play the Asian account in silent mode, and then come back here and see if I can get some Paladin and Warrior victories. Like, I have to get this Tavern Brawl done at some point, so I gotta try it on Paladin, but then I also need to get 5 victories, and it'd be nice if somebody wanted to jump on and help with that on the European account. But yeah, we are done with the talking part of the stream, and now it's time for the post show. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.